Hi everyone, this is Heather Lawtonen from the Flourish Academy, where our goal is to empower, educate, and elevate you to create a life that you love through the art and business of photography. This past weekend, I was teaching a DSLR workshop at our local community college. It's one of my favorites to teach. It's a high energy class. I would say we probably have about 85% hobbyists, maybe 15% aspiring pros. But one of the questions I'm often asked is, which lens should I buy next? And that's actually a really challenging question to answer, so much so that when I'm asked, I usually make a face and I say, well, I need more data. I need to know about you and the type of photography that you enjoy in order to make a recommendation. So I came up with a guide, and there is a printable worksheet that goes along with this video. Make sure you download it. But I have 4 questions and 6 criteria to consider when you are purchasing a lens. And the first thing is really you have to understand the type of photography that you love and then define the issues or challenges that go along with that type of photography. So the 4 questions, number 1 is, do you find yourself unable to get close enough to your subject? Maybe that's wildlife or sports. The second question is, do you find yourself not able to get the shot because you can't get back far enough? Maybe your back is up against the wall and you still don't have enough room in your lens to get the shot. Number 3 is, do you photograph in low light? That's a very important consideration. And number 4 is, how stable is your marriage or your relationships? Surely I jest. And that is just because I didn't ask you to get into this hobby, and it's pretty expensive. So you just might want to make sure that you have the support of your loved ones or some financial margin, because good lenses cost money. Okay, let's dive into the 6 criteria you need to consider. Number 1 is you need to determine the focal length that you need. And if you refer back to those questions, you should get a pretty good idea of whether or not you need a telephoto zoom, you need to get closer, or if you need a wide angle. The second criteria is decide if you want a prime or a zoom lens. Obviously, a zoom lens means that you can photograph at multiple focal lengths. You can zoom it. And a prime is fixed, such as a 50, a 35, or maybe an 85. And of course, you don't have the power of zoom with those lenses, but you do have the power of a wider aperture, which makes them beautiful for portraits. And God has blessed me with legs. Therefore, if I'm using a prime and I need to zoom, I'll just walk closer or I'll back up. I don't always have that luxury at weddings, but with other types of photography, that works well. Number 3 is select a maximum aperture. If that matters to you because you photograph in low light, which I do, there are very dark churches in Pittsburgh, I would call them caves, then I need to make sure I have an aperture that can handle that. I photograph in low light, I need a wide aperture. The next one is choose between first or third party lenses. Are you a lens snob like me? And if you shoot Canon, you have to have Canon, or Nikon, it has to be Nikon. Well, Tamron and Sigma both make pretty good lenses, and they're usually a fraction of the price. You'll just need to do research and look into them and see if they're for you. Then you need to evaluate any extra features. Now, these features could be IS for Canon, that's image stabilization, or VR for Nikon, the vibration reduction. And that helps with these heavier lenses in low light. And people ask me all the time, do you think that that matters? Because there is a pretty decent difference in the price between the two. And to be honest, I haven't tested them against one another. But when I shot Canon, I did buy the IS lenses, and now that I'm Nikon, I do buy VR. But again, I photograph in low light, so that's just an important consideration for me. And then lastly, you need to read reviews and narrow your options. Now that might seem obvious, but please don't overlook that, because Canon and Nikon can make lenses sound really good and beautiful on paper. But if you do a quick search or you get on some pro photographer forums, you'll find out what lenses tend to be a little bit better than others. Obviously, you need to consider price. Budget is an issue. And then the size and the weight. So I love my 70 to 200 2.8, but man, is it heavy. And I have a friend who purchased it because we all know that lens produces beautiful results, but it really started to cause her some shoulder pain. So she had to sell it and get something different. So that is something important to consider. I hope that you found this useful and that you can use this guide when you're purchasing your next lens. I'll see you in the next video.